precious tips on creating your beautiful, thriving life for yourself, your loved one, and your community and people that you work with. And because we all want and deserve to be healthy, wealthy, and happy. In this podcast is powered by Anchor FM by Spotify. Anchor FM is the super awesome free podcast that made the podcast made easy platform, and this podcast is delivered alongside the G100 Global Networking by Global Networking USA. And for this week, we are so thrilled and honored to have Hilda with us. Hilda, would you care sharing with us what is it that you do?
So I thank you very much for having me, Birgit, and I am thrilled to be here. I am a human resources consultant, and I help companies create the best versions of themselves. I rev up their potential. I do that through creating a human resources strategy and foundation, and the manuals and compliance issues. But equally important is I help companies build their people leadership skills, helping their managers and their executives be stronger in their communication skills and to help learn, motivate, and uplift their teams. That's what I do.
That is so awesome. And we have some conversations prior to this interview, and we recognize that yes, you do work for with human resources, and at the same time communication skill is one of those that everybody can benefit in day-to-day basis, because we kind of communicate with everyone in our life. And we share that you'll have tips whether you are in human resource, you work by yourself, but you work with client, or just communications for everyone in your life, may that be your neighbor, your loved one, or perhaps even your pets to a degree. And that's the, and I just find it so perfect because this is February, and February, a lot of, for many people, it's the month of Valentine and it's the love months. And at the end of the day, if we want to have beautiful relationship, we need to be able to communicate well. And I just love your concept of REVUP, which will have you share in 1 second. But perhaps before that, would you care sharing with us what brings you to do what you do now? Did you always, did you kind of like growing up said, I'm going to do this kind of program thingy, or it's actually a journey that brings you here?
Well, I I love people, and communication is important. So again, it doesn't matter if I do it in a business world or we do it with each other. So I'm happy to share my RevUp concept. I always loved helping people, even as a younger person. So when I graduated from high school, I decided I would become a nurse because I have a very scientific, mathematical background, and I wanted to make use of that. But I loved people. So I thought, what better combination than to help people in hospital settings get better? You know, at a time when families and people are under a lot of stress, you know, combining that ability to help people through this very stressful period, both physically and mentally and spiritually. So I always wanted to do that. Then my husband, who's an engineer, decided that he wanted to start his own company. And by then I had already been an educator. I love to teach people things, and a manager, a director of nursing. And I learned about policies and procedures and stuff. So we started this business, and we said, wouldn't it be nice if people loved what they did and loved where they worked? And that's what we did. We try to create this community of in our company where people did love what they do. And we succeeded in doing that to the point that we thought, let's see what other people think about us. And we put our names forward in best workplaces in Canada. This is best workplaces to work in other parts of the world. So it's, you know, there's one for US and Japan. We became top 10 twice. Yes. And so when we sold the company, I thought, of all the things that I did there, what do I want to do now? And that's when I thought, I love communication, I love helping people, and I love the human resources side of the company we built. So I thought, wouldn't it be nice if I could help companies build their companies so people really did enjoy what they did, and they did enjoy where they worked. And that's why I like to help managers, because they're influential in making our lives as employees well. And so that's why I started that company, because I really wanted to help business owners be better business owners, but I also wanted employees to really go to work and feel good about where they were working and feeling happy and fulfilled.
That is so beautiful that a lot of time, many times we go to work and we might even love what we do. Many people's like, yeah, I enjoy doing whatever they're doing, but it's a whole nother level to be able to say, I love what I do and I love working there. And
Yeah, it's
that
it's not common, but wouldn't it be nice?
Exactly. Usually, I love what I do, and it's a good place to work. It's allow me to do what I do, and I pay my salary, right, or something like that. But to love what you do, that working there is a whole nother level, and that really that increase productivity and the bottom line in multiple different ways. That is so awesome,
Yeah.
and do you have, with all the communication skill that you've learned, whether rev up or just a general communication skill, do you have any tips for our audience, whether they are a business owner of 40,000 or 40 people, or a bit of, or
A
what,
person,
or
an
perhaps
individual.
in our something that's also in our interaction, because human and we interact with each other all the time.
So you mentioned this Rev Up, and let me tell you what Rev Up is. Because my husband and I wanted to create this special place to work, and we succeeded, I tried to figure out, how do I articulate that? How do I help companies and individuals be better at communicating? And I thought, well, what we did at the company's name was iTrans was special. And how did we do it? And how do I explain it so I'm not spending 5 minutes? And I came up with the word rev up. I want to help people. So now I'm going to focus on individuals now. I want to help you rev up your potential. Whether you're an individual or a worker or a company or whatever, I want you to maximize your ability to be at the top of your potential. And so rev up is an exciting word, rev up your energy, rev up yourself. But rev up is also an acronym. And that acronym was what created that place where people loved what they did and they loved where they worked. So the acronym stands for 5 words. And those 5 words are respect, equality, valued, uniqueness, and potential. I'll put it in a sentence. When you treat yourself and those that you connect with respect, look at them as equals, value who they are, then look at the uniqueness of yourself, others, and then tap into that potential. That's going to maximize your ability to be your best self, to help others be their best self.
I love that. That is so amazing. And yes, like you said, you can do this outwardly toward others. Being
Yes.
a grief specialist, I know how many people come and say, I just don't feel I'm good enough, or I feel this
Right,
about me.
right.
And the most common one is, oh, I feel there is something wrong with me. And
Yeah,
when
yeah.
and when with that we cannot live up to our utmost potential while using the same rev. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's like, respect yourself, I see yourself as equal with
Equal to that person or that person. I'm just as good as you are.
exactly. and value yourself, your own well-being, because and a lot of our audience here with this gentleman, but also many women, and many of us being women, we are wonderful caretaker, right?
Yeah.
We take care of everybody and we run ourselves down. But value yourself as well, just as much as other people.
Exactly.
As and you know and appreciate your uniqueness. It's so what if you have different body shapes? So what if you have this or that? And if you prefer certain things, that's I personally, I mean, tell me what your thought. But our uniqueness is actually contribute to our potential.
Yes. And I think that was the key, is that when we had our company iTrends, we respected people. Not how I want to like, it's not respect somebody the way you want to be respected, is learn how being respectful to them. Because using culture as an example, sometimes something you do you think is respectful may actually be wishing ill of a person by that. So really learning how to be respectful the way they want to be treated. And when you look at everybody as equals, think about it as your role in life as a mother, as a parent, as a daughter or a son, mother, is equally important as somebody else in the family structure or a business. Without your part to play, things wouldn't happen. And if we men like to use the sports analogy, what happens if you don't have the goalie? What happens if you don't have a good forward or a good defense? They're not equal roles, but they're equally important to winning. And to me, those three values are the same good values of decent people. What sets the REVUP concept and what sets us apart when we had our company was we looked at everybody's individually and looked at this person's strength is this person's strength is that. Without their strength, we wouldn't be as good as a whole. So when you yourself, don't look at what you're not good at. Look at what you are good at, and let those things be nurtured to shine, to be utilized, and to be valued and respected. So to me, when we were creating our company, the key differentiator was the uniqueness potential. We would sit down and talk to people and ask them what they love to do, what they're good at. And we would nurture that growth. We would nurture the goal that they had and tap to the potential. And for those of you who are parents, how many times have we as parents thought about what we think is good for our child? And so we think, oh, it is better for you to live a safe life and have a good job. So go get that law degree, go get that computer degree. There's no money in being in art, or you're going to be poor all your life. But that's your value. When we do something we're very passionate about and somebody's paying us for it, it's a joy. And you talk about joy, Birgit, in your life, right? In grieving. When we create joy for ourselves, we then can help others be good and understand and rev up themselves. When we help ourselves be good, we can help others be good.
I love that. That is so beautiful in that again, it's not just for you, and it's like the trickle effect. The trickle effect when you do this with somebody right around you, you allow them to rev up, and then they can, from them be feeling good, bringing others to be good as well.
It's a philosophy. It's a way of thinking of life. And so I've used this when I put on my business hat, and I'm a human resources professional, helping companies, helping leaders. But this isn't just for businesses. This is for people. This is for us. And I do it in business because that's where I spent my life, and that's where I spent the company iTrends. And so this is what I do. But it is a philosophy of well-being. And when I was developing the concept of RevUp, I thought, well, how do I help people understand uniqueness? Because we're all unique just by the fact that, the color of my skin, when I was born, where I was born, and to who were my parents. That means I'm unique from anybody else. But I wanted to tap into it in a much more quantifiable way. And people know about assessment tools like maybe Myers-Briggs, DISC, and the one that I love is called Fascination. Fascination Advantage helps you show the world how you fascinate others. And when you learn about fascination and you start to use the languages of what your strengths are, your uniqueness, then you come across with confidence, you come across with authenticity, and then people know, like, and trust you. When you're using something that you're not good at, you look hesitant and you're not sure what to say. And so people think, well, you're not confident. I don't trust what you're saying because you don't even look like you know what you're saying. So fascination is based on a sort of a communication tool. And it's the way the world sees you, not how you see the world, whether you see the world in an analytical way or a relationship building way. It looks at how you come across to the world, and we identify your strengths and help you nurture those and shine. And that's called Fascination Advantage.
Oh, that is beautiful. You can tap in, and like you said, everyone unique. I use this analogy of our fingerprints. In this day and age, we look at with the feeding from the media and everything. So we all be this and be that. But if we all even just look at our fingerprints, each one of us meant to have different fingerprint combinations. and
Yeah.
and to me, it's an analogy from kind of like life saying, hey, be unique. And I love that how you say it's with this fascinations tool, it actually allow you to tap into what's your love, what your strength, and use that to amplify your potential. Sounds like that's really
Yeah. Yeah. I use it because I find there's a lots of different tools out there, but what I love about this tool is it's done in a positive way. It tells you who you are in a positive way. It also the report is written in a way that is easy to understand and apply. The words, people, once they read the words, they start to use that. Oh, I'm an analytic, like I'm analytical. Like there's 7 different languages. The power, decisiveness, the language of excellence, continuous improvement, the language of innovative, creative thinking. So there are 7 different ways we can communicate, and it identifies the top 2 where you're really fluent in. And when you're fluent, it just rolls off your tongue and you look so confident. I love it because it is science-based. There's been over 1.5 million people that have taken the tool, and it isn't something that, like, what kind of animal are you? It's not for fun. It really does help you understand who you are. And I love when people who've taken the tool say to me, Hilda, I thought I knew how people see how I come across, but this validates it. And now when it's validated, I can share how I think people think of me in more confidence.
That is wonderful. And confidence plays a lot of roles in our communications. Like you said, if we are hesitant, we're not being able to kind of be comfortable in our own skin.
Yeah.
That it's come across in it to everyone can feel that. That is so wonderful. And I so appreciate you sharing all these tips and tools with us, the wrap up and fascinations. It's kind of like what fascinates you and allow you to fascinate other in return. So that's really really great. Is there any way of what way people can connect with you if they want to learn more about what you do, or if is there any other resource that they can take?
Sure. so my company's name is People Bright Consulting. Again, the word bright is there because I want to help people move towards the light. And I'm on LinkedIn, so people can go to Hilda Gan and they'll find me on LinkedIn. I'm one of the first people that will show up under LinkedIn. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter, but I don't use that as often. On my website, communication is really important to me. And one of the things that I have done is I've created a guidebook on how to deal with difficult, it's called How to Master Difficult Conversations with Confidence. So there's a workbook where you have the tips and strategies and you work through it, but there's a free version of it. So you don't get the working examples, but you get my tools and tips on how to have that awkward conversation. The first things that you would say to somebody. And so if you go on my website and you look at the tools, you'll find difficult conversations there.
That's so awesome, and that's so generous of you to share with us. Thank you so much, because I mean, who among us who never have a time where we have a challenging conversations where you're like, I don't know what to say, and okay.
Right.
And so please go and check out Hilda's website and gain this tool here, and check out the workbook as well. But definitely take a look at the tools that Hilda has shared with us, because you want to do it sooner before you get it. It's kind of like, you want to do it now before you end up in another difficult conversations.
Yes. I think communication is so important, and it's so easy to misunderstand each other. And then people get upset about it. But I do this very interesting exercise with building blocks where I help people realize that what you say isn't always what somebody hears, and once you realize that, you forgive people when they don't understand what you're saying, because it's two ways. Oh, I told them that 50 times. I thought, yeah, but did they hear the same way you said it? No, I don't think so. I did this exercise is helping people build something without looking at each other. So think of building Lego, but you're back to back and you're just explaining to people what to do. And I remember two people were building something and they got the blocks and then they said, now put the last block perpendicular to the other one. He was an engineer, she was an admin assistant. And I said, okay, are they going to ask the next question? Like, does he remember that maybe she wasn't good in math and maybe she doesn't know what perpendicular means? Does she have the courage to say to him, can you remind me what's perpendicular? Right? She never asked. He never asked. And when they turned around, everything was stacked up properly, except the last one. Instead of perpendicular, which is 90 degrees to each other, she put it right on top of the other one, because they both thought they knew what they were saying. Nobody decided to question, do you know what perpendicular is? Or I don't know what perpendicular is, right? And so they didn't finish it perfectly.
Well, and that brings up one quick point though. But the thing is, sometimes we say to people, well, if you don't know, why didn't you ask? But at least in my work experience being a grief specialist, which also do a lot with communications and so forth, particularly when working with businesses like yourself, it's one of those things. Sometimes people don't even realize that they don't know. They might just say, oh, but I thought this is what perpendicular mean, or I thought this is, it's usually like people say, well, why didn't you ask? But it's usually like, I didn't realize that's not what you mean. I really
Yeah.
100% fully thought that when you say
Exactly.
put the milk on the second, I'm using personal life now.
Yeah.
I thought you put the milk on the second shelf. That's the second shelf from the bottom, not the second shelf from the
Exactly. Exactly. I'll say it's the third shelf from the top. Well, was that the very, very top? Does that count as one, or is that just the top? I go, oh, okay, fine. Right. But what happens, the aha moment is that, okay, just because I said it doesn't mean the person truly understood it, or they understood it in their own way. So you don't get upset with somebody, you understand. And so communication is learning to understand that it's continuous improvement, that you're not perfect, they're not perfect, but if we all keep the lines of communication open, we can improve. And the final point I want to talk about is trust. When we create communication skills and learn to trust each other, that's when we give each other the benefit of a doubt, and we continue to create stronger, healthier relationships, so that when you do have awkward conversations, I'm going to give you a benefit of the doubt more than to criticize you because I don't trust you. Trust minimizes difficult conversations and reduces the difficult conversations to a point where they're not escalating to anger, right? So communication is so important in all aspects of the spectrum.
That is so awesome. That is so wonderful. Thank you so much. You've given us so much wonderful, amazing tips here. And as we close these conversations today, do you have one final message for our audience?
I think the final message was trust. Learn to communicate, keep channels open, and develop trusting relationships, because that's when you give people the benefit of a doubt and continue healthy conversations.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Hilda. It's such an honor and a delight to have you share your tips today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me and inviting me.
Yeah, yeah. And for you, my friends who are listening to this, please share one or two gold nuggets in the comments so we can continue learning from each other. And thank you for joining us. Do share this podcast with your friends and family so they too can thrive in their communications, which lead to all other aspects in our life. And this is Dr. Burjit Tan, your grief transformation specialist for individual and businesses, founder of the International Childhood Cancer Charity, and United States country chair for G100 Global Networking USA. And you, my friend, make it a thriving, wonderful, joyfully rich life. And we look forward to see you again next week. Bye-bye for now. Welcome to your Joyful Riches